In a recent short, I shared with you how I was having a problem in this aquarium where fish were moving so much substrate that rocks were falling over, and how, if not monitored, those rocks could bang into the sidewall of the aquarium and create either a scratch, a scrape, a crack, maybe even rupture the tank. Maybe not too likely with this aquarium because it's a very thick glass, like almost a 3/4 inch. When you water tanks from glass cages, you get very thick glass. It's not a problem you want to have going on. You don't want your glass scraped by rocks banging up against it. So your solution is pretty simple. Either you use artificial rocks, like the kind you get from pool rock makers like Universal Rocks, people that make landscape artificial rocks, things like that weigh nothing, and it doesn't matter if it hits the glass, it's not going to damage it. Or you can continue to use real rocks, but just really secure them and keep an eye on them and make sure that fish that dig, like cichlids, are not removing the foundation from under the rocks and creating a potential avalanche. This is a particular problem if you're stacking rocks up real high. Like, let's say you're creating Mabuna caves, right? You're creating a bunch of caves, and some fish digs out a lot of substrate under one of the key rocks at the bottom. The whole thing comes tumbling down. You've got a cracked tank. So, at any rate, the only way to handle it really is to, like during a water change, like here, I reduced the water level close to 50%. Now I'm going to get in there and I'm going to move that sand and move this gravel back to where it belongs. That's going to fill in the pit that one of my fish, the Buccochromis rhodesii yellow, is protecting. So that's going to eliminate that pit, and it's going to put the rocks into more of a firm base, so they're not going to be rolling around. One of you suggested that I use those fluorescent light diffusers. I've used those in the past. They're good for protecting the bottom of the aquarium, and they might, if you push the rocks all the way down so they're laying on the diffuser, that might help to hold the rock in place, and then build the gravel, build the substrate around it so it kind of holds it in place. I just found that those, for me anyway, those diffusers tended to trap a lot of waste, a lot of detritus. It was almost like having a under gravel filter that wasn't working, or that was never being cleaned. And then when I went to go work or move it, it just had a ton of waste in that diffuser. Now that might have been because of the substrate I was using back then. When I was using it, I was using large shells that are sold by Carib Sea as a cichlid substrate. It's big shells and pieces of crushed coral, and that just allowed too much gunk to get down and get trapped in the little squares of the fluorescent light diffuser. But that's not a bad idea for protecting the bottom of your aquarium or for securing the rocks if you then lay them on the diffuser and then build the substrate around the rock. That might hold it in place. But the reality is I don't have that in this 300-gallon aquarium, so I'm going to have to just move the substrate back and position the rocks where I want them. Yeah, they're all excited. They know something's going on. Let's go ahead and start this job. This is my rake. Just a little like a $6 thing I picked up online, I forget where. But it's got you can use a blade or you can use a rubber squeegee, but it doesn't really matter. I'm not using it. I might use it a little bit on the glass right up here to clear up some of the dark area, some of the algae area, but otherwise I'm just going to use it to push substrate around. Let's go ahead and get it done. Okay, so I've smoothed it out back there, filled in the pit. I appreciate all the work that the Buccochromis rhodesii yellow did. It's amazing, just one mouthful at a time, they can end up moving 100 pounds of substrate. But this is good for now. I've got the rocks placed, each one in a nice solid position where they're not going to roll into the glass, and I filled in the pit, so there's nothing really for him to actually defend or fight about. So let's see how this goes. the rocks aren't going to tumble into the glass, and maybe the Buccochromis will calm down a little bit because he doesn't have a pit to protect. I have to do the same thing to the other back corner. You can see here how the substrate is almost bare bottom. This is where the fire hap, you can see him right there. This is where the fire hap has been digging and has the aquarium almost bare bottom. So I'll do the same thing. I'll just push substrate into the back, and that should calm him down because he'll have no pit to protect. Okay, let's fill this aquarium back up, but first I'm going to put my secret sauce. This is moose urine, and of course I'm joking. This is Vitachem and some Fritz Malawi lake salt, and some Safe. And it does look like moose urine, doesn't it? How would I know what moose urine looks like? It's going to cloudy up the water for a little bit, but it'll be gone real quick. All right, let's go ahead and fill this thing up and see how they behave after some fresh water and their pits filled up. Let's see how the fish get along. The tank is technically filled up when the water level in the sump reaches the bottom of that blue tape right there. That tells me there's enough water in the sump. Actually, what you do is you fill it up to that blue tape, then you turn the pump on, the water level in the sump will go down, then you let the sump fill up again to that blue tape. And that blue tape is the level where if there's a power outage or I turn the pumps off and the sump will not overflow, the water from the tank will fill up to the top of the sump but will not overflow. That blue tape is my marker. Well, it looks like the Buccochromis rhodesii yellow is a little bit confused. He's not sure what to do. He's just kind of hanging around but not really digging. So maybe he's going to calm down a little bit now that I've filled up that back pit. The fire hap pretty much picked up business as usual. Just went right back to defending this area. I think I might put a little more gravel in it, fill it up just a little bit more, and see if that'll get him to calm down. He's doing a breeding dance with this tangerine tiger up here. So he's all confused. So there you go. I'll keep a close eye on things, but don't I always when you have African cichlids? So there you have it. I filled up the pits. I'll keep an eye on it. Overall, the aquarium is pretty calm. Thank you so much for watching. If you want my best tips, go ahead and click on this playlist up here. And if you want to subscribe, hit me right there. And certainly consider becoming a Patreon monthly supporter and joining me on Saturday for the Cichlids and Coffee live stream. That's at 11 a.m. Central Time on Saturdays. Thank you, my friends. I'll see you at the next one. Bye-bye.